All right. What is up, you all? This is Austin.pegram here with Fitness That Fits You, or rather the Fitness That Fits You podcast. Coming to you today with a special episode. I have Miss Kate Ulanowski on the podcast here today. We are going to discuss all things health and wellness, what it is that Kate does, how she'll be contributing to our women's wellness retreat coming up here in April, which is something that we're very, very excited about. So, Kate, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself and I guess just kind of tell us what it is that you do and what you're into.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited for today. I'm excited to talk to you and spread the knowledge a little bit about health and life coaching. So a little bit about me. I went to Bellarmine University, got my accounting degree from there, and became a CPA soon after. And I actually worked in the asset management industry for 11 years. I was in their finance department and left there last year. And kind of leading up to that, probably starting about 5 or 6 years ago, I just really had kind of this revelation that I not needed more from life, but I was definitely missing something. Like I had 2 kids, they're now 6 and 8. I was married at the time. I was just really unhappy with life. Really, I loved my kids. I liked my job. But it was just felt like something's missing. So about 5 years ago, I really tuned into like wellness as a whole. Like I'd always been somewhat active, but obviously with kids, not everyone gains a ton of weight. I gained a ton of weight and I just wasn't happy with my body. I wasn't like mindful about anything that I was doing. So I really kind of started on a journey, and it all started with one of my friends invited me to yoga. There was a free yoga class. I worked downtown and there was a free yoga class at the Kentucky Center. We practiced on the stage. So one day we walked over there and I was like, oh, I missed this. This is it. This is how I want to start. And joined the studio. They had one of those, join for 40 days for pretty cheap. And so I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. And I just fell in love. And it all kind of started with yoga. And it was very physically mindful, but it slowly like trickled into my everyday, be present. Things are hard, but it's show the ease, the equanimity. That's been a huge thing in my life. And I love that word, that idea. And, the last 5 years, I've just kind of, whether it's been self-help books or people or family, podcasts, whatever it is, I've pulled wellness and health kind of tidbits wherever I could. And then last year, 2020, like it hit us all really hard. It was like, I need a change. I'm not happy in my job. I need something that I'm super passionate about. And I started a business with 2 partners in 2019, and they're both physical therapists, and they specialize in neuro, and they really focus in on people with neurodegenerative disorders. So that company does retreats for those patients and those caregivers. And they brought me on as kind of the back office something. So last year I was like, okay, what can I do to be more like, not just do the books, not just do the marketing. What can I do? Not just be the operating person. And so the health and life coach kind of came up, and it really hit really home for me. And so in August last year, I started to get my certification, and it's been magnificent. So I left my job, my 9-to-5 job. I work full time for, myself in the coaching business and for Dragonfly Wellness. And it's been magical. It's what I do, there's lots of coaches, lots of niches you can kind of tone into, but because of my personal history with trauma, with divorce, with children, I really focus in on women and their empowering women. We all have, everyone has a story, but I feel like women have a harder time expressing what they want their stories to be and how they want where they want their lives to go. So my job as a coach is I have a 90-day program where we meet once a week. And obviously there's materials in between those sessions and support between those sessions, but we meet once a week, and I really have a system of not only where you are, but where do you want to be? What's possible in that 90 days? Because it's 90 days is so doable, and you can set these goals and really, whether it's, I just want more me time. If you're a mother, that's huge. Or I have, this terrible mom guilt because I'm working all the time and I don't feel like I'm with my kids enough. And it's just working through these so you can create your story and, I just love giving women this hope, this new life that they've had all along. They just, sometimes accountability is powerful. So
yeah, absolutely. Yes, I love it. I have, so I don't know if I've ever spoken about my fiance at all, but we just had a baby. Rosalie is her 7. Yeah, thank you. She is 7 months old, and a lot of that kind of hit home what you were just saying, just in the way of like her finding that identity, I suppose, and she's kind of been. Well, I would imagine a lot of mothers do this, especially first-time mothers, kind of struggle with just like that individualism and like losing that a little bit. Like maybe they grieve that a bit, and that just kind of have an impact. And I obviously don't know anything about that because I'm not a mother, but I have definitely experienced it with my partner. So I think that's just such a great resource to have. Like, I mean, that's awesome that people like you are doing that. So tell me, so it sounds like the yoga itself was one of the deciding factors there, like one of the big like events in your life that kind of pushed you toward being a life coach. Is that true? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, absolutely. It was, the community that was built around it. And it was just, that was very physical, but the community, I found some of my greatest friends through this practice, and it was perfect. And I loved it. And, obviously with COVID, I haven't been to the studio in a long time, but I still have my yoga mats in my living room. And, last summer I did it outside. So at least it was still hot a little, got some sweat on, but yeah, I miss the studio. That's for sure.
So with the life, so you're a life coach, and you are with Dragon Fit Wellness. Now, is Dragon Fit Wellness, that's the business that you're referring to that you started with the 2 therapists, correct?
Yeah, it's Dragonfly Wellness. So yeah, that's our wellness. That's our wellness company. And then I myself started company Wildflower Coaching. So that will be my business. Yeah, that's my personal coaching business. So. Okay.
So you're working with 2. You're working with 2 companies here. It sounds like.
Yeah, and it's all kind of intertwining together. So it's working out. It's really beautiful. I'm loving it.
Very cool. I love that. Okay, well that's great. So I mean, that's basically these are the type of things that we think people are going to want and need. Those individuals, those participants that will be at the Women's Wellness Retreat, just in our community, like that is going to be such, an essential resource for them. They're going to play like a huge role there. So I can speak for myself and Holly when I say how excited we are for you to be there. So tell me, so how did you meet Holly? I know she went to Bellarmine also, but that doesn't mean that you 2 had to be best friends. So like, was there like something that happened? Maybe you crossed ways at a party, something like that, or whatever?
I'm trying to think probably the first time I met Holly was, we were both accounting majors. So Holly's, we were in the same business school. And I think probably our first interactions would have been with, our business fraternity was probably one of our first interactions. Yeah. So it's pretty small, especially the accounting community. So if you're within a couple years of each other, you're going to cross paths. But that was probably the first time I had a personal relationship with her. I think she was an officer multiple times in, I think our president one of the years. So she was always very involved. And her husband, Brad, I actually played volleyball with as well. I can't remember if that was during college or right after college. We played volleyball together as well. So we were kind of always in that same, crossing paths in similar friend groups. And, but yeah, I think our business fraternity, which sounds really cool, I know, is what first brought us together.
Now that she did say something, I've been training Holly for about 3 years now, and she did mention that along the way over the past 3 years at some point about a business fraternity. So that kind of, rang a bell in my head. But look at me. You can tell that my college experience was obviously a little bit different. I thought maybe you all met at a party. You're like, no, we met at a business fraternity.
Really, really cool accounting stuff is where we met. We did do, but we definitely at same parties and at, like I said, we played volleyball together. But yeah, it was, our first interactions were not so cool. I would say.
Okay. So do you have any like other hobbies or anything like that you kind of practice, outside of, your work, outside of your career and your businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I have 2 children. I have a 6-year-old little girl and an 8-year-old little boy. So they keep me very, very busy. And that's obviously that brings a whole new hobby of crafts and soccer and got for Christmas. So now trampolines in there. But and then but yeah, besides that, like we were talking earlier, I am a swimmer. I used to be a runner. And I've run a marathon, I've run multiple mini marathons. And then last year, right when COVID started, I think it was beginning of April, I was thought I could skateboard still with my children. And I ended up fracturing my ankle, spraining my foot so horrible. So I had just started swimming a little bit before that. And then after I recovered from my foot injury, I got back into swimming pretty intensely. I tried to run and my foot is still not quite too happy with me. So I'm hoping that someday I can get back into running. But for now, it's swimming. Yoga, and I love to cook. I love trying new recipes. I have a new one set up for tonight. And gardening. That's been the last probably 3 or 4 years has become a huge, huge part of my spring and summer for sure.
Okay. I'm very, very, very intrigued. We'll have to talk a little bit more in depth about this maybe at the retreat, but the skateboarding, wow. You probably got some history to dig into there. So that'll be exciting. Okay. Well, so you all, I brought Kate on today, or rather we brought Kate on because, again, we have our women's wellness retreat coming up here April 24th through the 25th. The majority of the retreat will be obviously geared toward the 24th, where we're going to have a ton of activities. Kate, of course, will be leading a couple of those things. She's obviously very well versed in the way of health and wellness. So who knows, you might see Kate like all around the entire location there, doing a few things. So that's really awesome. But, kind of just wanted to give you all an idea of what role Kate will play. Obviously, she's going to be, working as a life coach, I would imagine. Maybe some, I guess, did you get your cert in yoga, or is that just something that you love to do?
No, that's just, I love to do. Someday, maybe. It's definitely a maybe.
Gotcha. So definitely life coach. So this is great because I think, I know as a movement specialist, as a strength coach, you hear about the different genres, the different realms of coaching. And I've heard life coach. I've heard about life coach, like what that is for some time now. Never actually met a life coach. So, what does that entail? Like, what do you do? We kind of talked about the process, your 3-month process, 90 days rather, which is really good. I feel like that's necessary for anybody to, really see if a program is going to work. But I'm so curious about what those 90 days look like. If you don't mind to share, I'm intrigued.
Share a little bit. Yeah. So I have my program really, it focuses kind of on 2 areas. Yes, there's going to be that life coaching, but I also have my health coaching certification as well. so that I'm very much a believer that all things start with what you put in your body. I'm not
Okay.
not a dietitian. I don't know, I don't know everything, but it's at least part of the program to just check in to see, are you moving? What are you putting in your body? Like, because sometimes it's just a small little change up in your diet can make this huge difference. And so that's definitely part of the program, is just evaluating kind of that the health aspect, more the what are you putting in your body and the movement. But it's not necessarily, that doesn't have to be a goal. It definitely can be a goal of, hey, I want to lose this weight. I can definitely help clients with that process as well. But the life coaching, it is a lot about, what are steps I can take? They're starting, usually if a client comes to me, they're missing something. They might not even know exactly what that is. And so
Right.
we come in and we just talk. We just, talk about is there someplace they want to be in 90 days, or do they have something in mind, or do they just like, oh, I'm feeling this way. I'm like, okay, we can, I'm feeling blah. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling trapped. I feel like those are big words that get used a lot of what I hear. And so we can really go into there's 12 sessions, like I said, and each session I create a theme. And, I have my 12 basic, my 12 ones that I typically use, but based on the client, I can switch it up based on what their needs are. It can be, I do a lot of mindfulness exercises with the clients. I feel like that's super important. I think I talked about equanimity earlier, and it's just, life is hard. Life is really hard. And a huge tool I can help people with is just, creating the calm. The life is always going to be swirling around you. You're always going to be searching for something, but how can you be present right now and not stress about what you have to do next week for work or tomorrow for work? Even just like be very present in your day and what can you accomplish today to create a better tomorrow. And then also behind opposite, not being so worried about your past. You have to, obviously it happened, it's going to be overwhelming sometimes to think about these pasts, or your past, but you can really create some wonderful things from what you've learned through going through that experience, whether they're good, bad, and different. You can learn from everything in your life. So in my program, basically, it's just, that's a huge part, is just learning, doing different exercises to maybe take away that mom guilt, or that just caregiver. It doesn't have to be a mother. I feel like women in general are very hard on themselves when it comes to putting others first and themselves last. So there's different exercises for that. I can talk about mindfulness, the health portion. It's really, in every session, you're going to walk away with action items for the week, just small goals that the client can really take on over that week. And typically there's just new information. So I come in, we do like, oh, what were your successes this week? What were your challenges this week? And then, okay, here's the new information that I think pertains to you and what you're going through in your life. And then we'll probably do some sort of mindfulness exercise after that, or some sort of exercise. And then, action items. So it's 12 weeks. And kind of obviously check in on your goals as we go along and see if there's something new that comes up, something else you want to focus on. And sometimes once you become more mindful of what you're doing and what you're worried about, new things can come up, and we can adapt the program from there.
So you make people focus on the things that they otherwise would not focus on, is what I'm hearing, because that's crazy. Because I mean, like so like, in more simpler terms, as a fitness coach, I follow certain guidelines from the more in depth, more knowledgeable coaches that coach me, that help me get my certifications. And one thing they're always talking about is being mindful, gratitude. Taking 10 minutes to yourself. This doesn't always mean getting a hard workout in. It can literally just mean you meditating or stretching, feeling your body, things like that, right? Being present. And I see that stuff and I'm just like, I gloss right over it because it's like, I don't know what that feels. I don't know what that feels like. So if I feel that way, and I essentially have this individual freedom, I can only imagine what it's like for, your first time mom or any mom for that matter, who is constantly surrounded, or worried about the child or children and their life and their future and what their day is like. There's just doesn't seem to be any time for them to worry about their own day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm slowly getting it. Talking to people like you and actually being with a loving fiance is helping me learn a little bit more. But yeah. So like it honestly sounds like you are just getting people to sit back, and that is accountability there for them in the way of actually putting those things to practice, and you make that happen. Gosh, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for I'm sure that you changed some lives, like really changed.
Well, hopefully. Yeah,
Love
it's
that.
yeah, you were talking about like it's hard to take that 10 minutes with Dragonfly Wellness. My partners and I, we started in 2021 doing different challenges. So we have in January we did a meditation challenge because it's difficult for everyone. I don't know why when you say take 10 minutes and breathe, I'm like, oh God, why is it so difficult? So we kind of holding ourselves accountable a little bit. We did meditation in January. This month we're doing journaling. And it's just like just 5 minutes a day. And
Yeah,
it's still
it would
hard.
make a huge difference, I would imagine. Like if people could do that, um, very cool. All right, I love that. So with that being said, I kind of want to. I'm really excited to kind of hear about some of the things that you potentially have planned, or some of the roles you'll be playing. So I know we're gonna have obviously our activities on a day to, or excuse me, hour to hour, with a little bit of break in there for people to shift from one activity to the next, maybe linger a little bit. We don't want people to feel like it's so stressed and strict, like that's what their normal life is. So we obviously want that kind of hang out, but I'm curious about, just like I'm sure they'll be curious about, some of the itinerary that you may have for an activity, or something of that nature. I suppose I get a little wordy with my questions sometimes, so I apologize.
No, it's fine. Well, yeah, no, for sure. I am running, or I'm leading the nighttime activity. So it'd be on Saturday night on, I think at like 8 or 8:30. I can't remember the time exactly, but that's my time bucket. And my thoughts, and without giving, I don't want to give too much away, but it would really be, I'm sure there'd be some sort of meditation with this, or visual. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Visualization.
Yeah.
Got it. And and it would be, it's really, we want them to walk away from that evening with kind of something to reflect about. So I'm hoping to kind of feel like my story, going from where I was to where I am, kind of going in depth a little bit about how I got there, details about that, and hopefully empowering some women to make those small changes, and also leading some sort of activity, a mindfulness activity, just to really bring awareness to what they want to focus on. There's, I don't know if you've heard it, like the wellness wheel. There's different wheels where you can kind of look at and really reflect on what needs a little work. There's always something in our life. We can't be 100% all the time in every aspect of our wellness. So it's what do I need to work on, or list out maybe it's some sort of activity of list out all the things I do in a day or in a week, or that I have to do, and put those in buckets. So I'm still working on exactly what activity I think would be the most useful to walk away with some reflection. Come away with, but yeah, it will definitely be something I want the women to become aware of, something they can work on and walk away with some sort of action item that they can
love that.
take away from it. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, definitely. I don't want them. I don't think any of us really want them. I want them to be guessing. I want them to be thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for Kate. I can't wait."
Yeah.
So that's thanks for the little snippet there. So I have a question for you before we kind of close out, and you can tell people where they can find you and stuff like that. I wanted to ask you. So, I know that you said your primary audience is women. Do you ever have any men come your way? Because you really are preaching. Like, I'm hearing things. I'm like, gosh, that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely can coach men as well. Yes, I have definitely had men clients, but yeah, I just feel this typically I can help women more because we share so much together. But I definitely, my program
Right.
can go anywhere. But
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So any men
Yeah.
absolutely can coach.
Yeah, and I'm not too worried about that. Men get enough as it is. I was just curious. Because I'm hearing you, and I'm like, God, man, she's on to something here. Like, I could. So, but that's cool. Okay, I figured with your background, you'd definitely be pretty well versed in being able to speak to anyone that walks through the door. I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
very cool. Very cool. All right, y'all. Well, that's Kate. She's going to be at the Women's Wellness Retreat, which we're also very, very excited about. I hope you all were able to get a good background on who Kate is. It's always important for you to know, if somebody's going to be running a class with you or for you, that you kind of have an idea of who that person is. Can you relate to them? Especially with this type of event, that's exactly what we wanted. And I'd say that Kate is absolutely relatable. So this is really, really awesome. Kate, I'm gonna let you just kind of tell them where they can find you and how they can get a hold of you if before or after the event they're like, man, I need Kate in my life. Where can they get?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm on have a website. It is wildflowercoach.com. I have Facebook, Wildflower Coaching. You can search that, and Instagram as well. So Wildflower Coach is my handle on Instagram. So any of those places, I am there and ready.
Love it. Love it. Now sorry, I'm backtracking here before I close out entirely. I have a question for you real fast. So earlier, you said something about being present, and I think it just escaped my mind until now. But earlier you said something about being present, and obviously that's something that we all struggle with, as you've explained. So I was gonna see in asking you where people can find you, what platforms you're on. You mentioned Instagram, social media. Mm-hmm. So myself as a business owner, let's refer to other women as business owners in the community, other women who have to essentially be online. Let's say they have to be online for their job, for their career. They have to, do marketing or things like that. Mm-hmm. I would imagine there's a struggle there for them to be as present as possible when they're stuck in their phones. That's probably like the only thing I can really relate to when it comes to women, if they are on their phones. And one thing that I've done in my practice or with my training is like I've actually backed off from recording as much when I'm in the presence of my clients, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because I can be more present with them. It's a bad thing because it's like, oh, people don't know necessarily what I'm doing, and I need people to see that so that I can bring people in. Whether it's me or whether it's a top level female business owner or a small business owner here in the community, is there any advice that you might have, without giving all of your advice? That is, keep it short. I don't want you to give all of your advice, so I want them to come see you. But like any like advice in the way of being present, like how is that possible when you have to be on Instagram all day?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's really just like, this is going to be probably not the answer anyone's looking for, but it is a practice. It's, it's daily, like, what can I do today to be a little more present? And it's just a what you kind of have to, and unfortunately you have to come up with what works for you. It's not a one size fits all answer. It's what can I do today to be a little more present, even when I have to be on my phone all the time. And then you just can build upon that. It's a habit. A big part of my program is about habit changing. And it's, you can't start big. It's, you can't go from, I'm eating McDonald's and fast food all the time to eating a carrot stick, and it's not sustainable. So you got to just stair step up there. So.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
That was perfect. Like that was a perfect little bit of information there for us. So thank you very much. Okay, you all, I kind of bounced around there on that. You know where you can find Kate. She's giving you a little bit of information on how you can be present in your lives. That one might have been a little selfish. I did take some of that with me. I'm gonna keep that in mind now because I needed that information also. But we have the wellness retreat again. 24th to the 5th, that's on April, or in April rather. That's going to be starting at 10 a.m., ending at 10 a.m. the next day, okay, on the 25th. The Parks Airstream Resort, obviously access those depending on what package you register for. You'll be able to access the cabins, the luxury cabins / suites, depending on which package you register for. Okay, if you have any questions about any of the information we've discussed here, you all obviously where you can reach out to Kate for her specific services. You can also reach out to Kate a little bit about the information for the Women's Wellness Retreat. And you can, of course, reach out to me, Austin Pegram, for information about the Women's Wellness Retreat as well, and or Holly.a.cropper. Okay, I'll have the contact information in the description when you're pulling up this podcast episode. But other than that, you all, thank you for listening, whether it's morning or evening time for you. So good morning or good night. And Kate, thanks so much for being on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is so fun. I'm excited for April.
Let's do it. I'm excited. All right, y'all. Great. Bye.